The Honda CR-Z is something of a niche product. Its hybrid technologies gives it environmental credentials, but its sporting body makes it desirable to the right sort of people. Honda knew they wouldn't be selling this car hand over fist, but that hasn't stopped them from making a few nips and tucks for the 2013 year.
Not giving in. I'm not giving in. I'm not giving in. I'm not giving
So here we are with the 2013 Honda CR-Z in GT spec. First of all, can I just apologise for my devil eyes? Because of the British weather, I'm sure you can hear it whistling around the car at the moment, and because of the timings that we're filming, we're going to have to use this little light on the camera here, which gives me some sort of Son of Satan effect. Anyway, back to the Honda, and another apology as well. We did actually record this whilst moving once already, but this new car in GT spec comes with these beautiful 17-inch diamond-turned alloy wheels, which look fantastic, but to be perfectly honest, with the equipment that we've got here, the camera was jiggling about all over the place. I looked like I was having some sort of epileptic fit, so we've decided to pull over and quickly record this bit here. So, the 2013 Honda CR-Z is still as striking to look at as the car that it replaces. In fact, this is more of a nip and tuck facelift model. It still has all of the toys and gizmos and 3-mode drive system that the previous car had. Something I wanted to highlight with the CR-Z is that because it's that niche product, because Honda are never going to sell lots of them, it's quite brave of them to come and do an updated version as opposed to remove it from the model line potentially. But I'm glad that they've decided to keep it. Firstly, because it handles fantastically. I mean, once you put it in sport mode, and that 1.5 litre i-VTEC engine, which now has 135 brake horsepower, revs all the way up to the top of its limiter, it is an utter joy to throw into corners, and it's really, really very involving. The steering's very well weighted, and though that suspension is quite firm on bumpy roads, slinging it around B roads, it's an absolute pleasure because it's so communicative, it's so well balanced on the road. And the hybrid factor of this actually helps it in terms of its handling, because the batteries that sit in the boot, which are now lithium-ion batteries for 2013, so they retain better charge and produce higher voltage when being dispatched, that actually has a pendulum effect on the rear end of the car as you go around a corner, making turning even sharper. So I can't really fault it for that. It does 54 mpg, which most motoring journalists have sort of said that's not quite enough, not quite what you'd expect from something that wears a hybrid badge. But let's be honest, this is one of the few cars that will let you have your cake and eat as much of it as you want. It's both a hybrid and a car that you can enjoy in a sporting manner. And how many others are there out there? The other alternative to wear a hybrid badge is a Prius or an Insight, which, to be perfectly honest, is a bit like contracting cholera. This is chic. It skips from bend to bend. It doesn't slump around town. Sure, in the econ mode, it's not at its most sprightly, but for 2013, Honda have introduced this fairly innocuous-looking S Plus button. Glowing in blue in the dark as it was earlier, hitting that deploys all of the battery's voltage at once in a 15-second burst until there's nothing left of the battery. Now, the torque pickup is uncanny. It's absolutely brilliant. And though, to be perfectly honest, it doesn't improve overall performance that much, it's really enjoyable to be a big kid and think, oh yeah, I'm a Formula 1 driver just for this little stretch of open road, and there is like my KERS push to pass button, and you push it and the engine is optimised performance as soon as you hit it, and off you go. But then equally, when you're not using it, you also feel a little bit like James Bond, because sat on the dashboard is a fairly innocuous little green symbol saying S plus ready, saying you could use it if you wanted to, but right now you're going to save it. It's in reserve. I quite like that. It's a bit like being a fighter pilot saying that your torpedoes are armed. You could deploy them at any point, but you're going to save it for the optimum moment. The car's kitted out with cruise control as last year's GT model was, and it's all in all, it's pretty much the same car, but with a few little tweaks and a little bit of extra polish. And to be perfectly honest, I think this S Plus mode to the car does add a nice new dynamic that the previous car obviously didn't have. Not that the previous car was worse than this in any major way. I just think that that's an extra characteristic that the car really benefits from. Obviously, the cons are still there. You've got the very cramped rear quarters of the car, which I'd say are barely suitable for amputees. That said, fold those two useless rear seats flat, masses of space to put your shopping, and in that, as a two-seater coupe, it's very practical. As a 2+2, with that really low sloping roof, it's not massively practical. My only other real complaint as well is the fin that acts as the aerial for the radio. We find going between buildings and things, there's quite a lot of static being picked up from that. I know a lot of manufacturers are going DAB. I'm sure Honda are going to do that in the future, but as of right now, that's a little gripe I've got with the car currently. All in all, I still love the CRZ as much as I did the previous one. I think it's one of those cars where some people just get it and other people never will. Some people don't like the styling, some people think it's far too impractical, some people would say it's too thirsty to be a hybrid. But to be perfectly honest, I appreciate this car for the way it drives, and I really champion the designers for pushing through and saying, yes, we want to build this car, hybrid or not. And I'm so glad they did. This platform is absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure whether Honda, unfortunately, will replace the CRZ once this car comes to the end of its life. I sincerely hope they do, because they did such a fantastic job with this one. But yeah, in conclusion, £22,500 for this fully kitted out one with panoramic roof and cruise control and that fantastic S Plus button, and of course Honda's ever fantastic gearbox. This one's a 6-speed. It's an utter joy, and I'd thoroughly recommend the Honda CRZ, but as it's a niche, only if you're the right person.